Oh my God, everyone's already tuned out. We don't want to hear this anymore.
Yeah, I'm just killing time. It's okay.
Ready. I've got lashes on.
You look really pretty. Your hair looks good.
Thank you.
Well, because as opposed
Both
to
of you.
last
Everyone's...
week's episode where I look like I just come off an emotional 4 days on a trip and tired and been to the doctor and then put on mascara and did a podcast. No, this time I had hair and makeup.
Melissa and Peterman. Melissa and.
And what I love though is that Elvis, and Peter, I did tell you that once I got Elvis, I didn't really need to travel with you anymore because when you travel with Peter, you get upgraded. You walk up to they're like, oh, hello, sir. Yeah. Oh, we've upgraded your room. Or you walk
I don't know about all that.
Yes, it's true.
Everywhere except Casa Bonita.
And Elvis is so beautiful that I kind of am like, Peter, I don't know if I need you. Elvis is kind of he's like the prettiest. He is the most handsome, prettiest pup ever. So people at the dog park were like, oh no, Elvis got bit, not Elvis. And I just love that.
So are you going by Elvis now and not Belvis?
I'm calling him both. I call him Elvis, Belvis, Lurleen, Cartwright. But the Elvis, my wonderful Elvis portrait that Reba gave me for my birthday they actually had an even bigger gold frame for it to go into.
Good.
So it's getting reframed. So I put up my little fern. My fern went up there just to give Fern a little love. So just wanted to explain that to people who viewed the last episode. And also
this isn't a new home. This isn't her second house.
Although they might go, who's that woman? Because the woman on the last podcast looked like she had just been through a war.
Well, you can't see me, Melissa, but I'm coming straight from a game, so I have a I don't know what
this gorgeous, beachy hair right now. It really, it's never looked so good. It looks really good.
Oh, okay. Well, now I guess that's what I have to do. I told you I don't have someone who does it, and or ever has done it.
Ew. You don't have glam every morning?
This is the difference between Melissa being tired and Melissa with a professional team. Okay. So thank you to Kathleen and Sam for putting it together.
I'm going to insert this, and then I'll deal with it. I've cut my own hair for the last 25 years, so I've never had someone.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I learned stuff about you. I've known you for 17 years.
What's the back look like? Is it just like scratchy bald spots? No, it looks good. Do you use one of those Furbies?
No.
Flow nails?
It's got 2 mirrors.
Oh, nice. Wow, rich. Okay, 2 mirrors. I was discussing with some friends over dinner yesterday that I think that's going to be my next hobby turned very prolific career, is that I think I might go into pottery and
can I just do it with you?
Kill it.
Did you say pottery? Did you say do pot?
You know, whenever I do anything with Melissa, she ends up doing it better than me and becomes more famous at it. So do I really want to go down that road? Which is a great segue into
today's topic.
Today's topic.
About writing. We can even just sub those things in. All right. Well, my schedule is not anywhere cool like yours.
Well, let's segue this better. Last time, everyone had to listen to minutia of my what it's like for a 4-camera multicam sitcom schedule.
Same.
And I want to talk about what it's like, and I think we need to hear what it is like to be a stand-up comedian and what that's like, what that schedule's like, what the green room's like, what it's like pre-show. Okay, Elvis wants to hear too. He's very adamant.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we have such a village working on supporting us.
Yeah.
I mean, from everyone surrounding the production is holding this tent up while you're like every single part of the tent by yourself, which blows my mind.
You're
Start
doing
from the top.
Everything you have to promote yourself. You have to you're writing all the material. You're doing everything. That's a great way to look at it, because I think as an actor, you have so much support. Even doing improv, improv never scared me because I could be on a stage, but you've got 5 people with you. So if things are going badly, you can all like rely like, oh, look at the eclipse, and then the lighting guy's like a blackout. Like you have so many safety nets to like get you out of a scene. And stand up, I have such great respect for people that do this because it's such a solitary thing. It's everything's on you. If things go badly, you can't blame like, well, you know what, that was, I mean, it's all you get to have the rewards, and you get to have the criticism and the love. It's all yours.
Yeah, I guess yes, all of that's true. I think that's the good and the bad both together, which is why a lot of people just say, oh, I'm just going to do stand up, because there's nothing you have to do. You don't have to, obviously you don't have to take a class or anything like that. You could just say, I'm a comedian and book me. Now, getting booked is a thing that will take some effort. Also, getting paid, because that's the other part, especially in LA. There are a lot of comedians who are doing sets regularly. They're not getting any money at all. So you're going up, and at what point do you say you're a professional if you're not really getting paid? Or if you're getting $10 for a 5-minute set or something, does that really mean you?
Even if you're getting paid,
yeah.
Even if you are at a level where you're at least starting to get paid, you still, you still are the ones that you still have to go and be doing it every night, because you're constantly, you have to work out your material. So putting together your 20 minutes, your half hour, your hour, whatever, is constant work that you have to do, which, by the way, you are not getting paid like equally for the amount of hours and time it goes into that 10 minutes or that hour or that half hour, that 20. You're driving somewhere every weekend to work on something.
That's another part, which is, let's say you got to get the material. So how do you write material? How do you deliver it? How do you figure out what's going on stage in terms of what your presentation is, all of that stuff. And then it's like, okay, now I have that. How do I get booked? And then you get booked, and maybe you get one show, but there's not like you say, all right, I got a booking and now I have a year's worth of work. That was one night, one show. And it may be 10 minutes, it may be, 20 minutes, it may be whatever. And it may be a little bit of money or some money. But so I have done, for the last 25 years, I've done over 100 shows a year. And each of those bookings, almost all of them are, individually booked. So I had to that's like having to get 100 different jobs every year almost. So it's not quite like that. But,
wow.
So it's just a lot of that part of it. So there's the part where, and if obviously you have a booker, an agent, and they can help you with some of those things. But just getting all those, that's part of it. And then it's, how do you write your material? How do you spend your time outside of being on stage? All of that has to do with before you ever even get to the show. And then you get to the show, and then you have all of what happens that night. So if you have a gig with 2 or 3 other people, that we had this little discussion last time about, do you have to hang out in the green room with the other comedians? And, the standard show, it's not always this way anymore, but it used to be a opener 15 minutes, middle person would call a feature act for 30, and the headliner does 45 to an hour. So there usually be 3 people that would normally, but most, or a lot of clubs, a lot of places are doing more showcase levels. So there'll be 10 to 15 minute sets. So you may have 5 or 6 or 7 comedians on one show, which means you're all getting a little less money, just getting a little bit of taste of it. We're in a weird moment now where we're just seeing the real extreme of money. So you see these guys doing, like huge arenas, and they're getting $1.5 million a night. The same time someone's down the street doing a half hour or so, and they're probably getting $50. And the skill it takes obviously is different in all those because of popularity, but it's the same job, and the discrepancy in pay right now is just, maybe it's a reflection of society in general. It's just crazy right now. It's pretty amazing. I have opened for a guy at a big theater where he did 45, I did 30. He got 100,000 and I got $500. So not even 1% of like that. And it was not the guy I was opening for a long time. So if everyone's reading into that, it wasn't that. It was just a one-off show. And so you see just the level of that, which is, it's so much about fame, and whether or not you can sell tickets is what your money is based on. It has almost nothing to do with whether or not you're funny or can fill up the time. So, anyway, those are, that's part of it. And so my calendar is constantly in flux about if I can pick up a show, or someone calls about one, or emails, or someone saw me. And then there's, obviously when you start out, you're just hustling all the time, trying to ask without being too desperate to say, can I get a set? Can I get in there? Who books that? How do I get on that show? And, it's just how long can you go before you have to either get a real job or you make a lot of money or you just are fine living it out of your car or doubling up. I know there was a couple comedians here in town. It was funny. They had shared one room and one bed, and they would just rotate who was on the road, and they would just swap bed. Whoever was home would sleep in the bed, and so they could save money. So, I mean, that's the life of it. It's not it used to be really, really different than it is now because there's a lot of money to be made now. But for a long time, stand-up comics were more like the fringe of entertainment. And you had to really want to do that. And then by the late 2000s, early 2010s, it feels like the money changed a lot and it became a real viable path to, I don't know what the right term's, not legitimate show business, but it's like the money changed a lot during that time. And now it's like so much higher. It's pretty crazy.
But and I don't want to take you off your train of thought, but the reality is too that whether you're making, $100,000 a night or $500 a night or 20, you are still having to spend most of your weekends away from your home, which I think, I think about, and I know some stand-ups, I know you're one of them. And I think even I feel very lucky that, I have to travel a lot sometimes, but a lot of times for actor, multicam, even if you're traveling, you're at the same place on location for 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Doing the sitcom, I'm in LA and I'm at my home, I'm at my house, I get to go home every night. And I think money doesn't matter when you're never home. That's it's touring. Yeah. Anytime you're touring, you're gone for half of your week. And that's a big sacrifice to make for a lot of people. And I think stand-ups love it so much and they want to do it so badly that that's what they do, no matter what they're getting paid, because they have to do it.
Yeah.
You do stuff, Chris, by the way, sometimes I'm like, what? You're going to drive this far and pay for a hotel to do this amount of time. And I'm like, why? You've headlight. What are you doing? It's because you love it. You can't not get on the stage and tell a joke. You just cannot.
Yeah.
So you have to cannot want to do something else to be able to do it.
Yes, all of that is true. And then if you want to have a spouse and kids and a regular life, it's just so hard unless you make a lot of money. And there's just so few comedians who are making a lot of money that can do that in a way. I know I'm the reason why relationships didn't work, but also the couple of ladies that I was close to getting married to, the two specifically, both of them did not want me to do this because they said, you're gone every weekend and you're gone in the evenings. And it's like, we always say, the kind of joking, when you meet someone, they go, oh, you're a comedian. That's so cool. I want to come to a show sometime. So then they come to the show the next time and they're like, oh, this is great. And then the next time, maybe they bring their friends, still pretty fun, still pretty new. Yeah. And then the third or fourth weekend, they're like, again, you're doing it again? I go, yeah, every weekend for 30 years. It's just that's just what it is. And so, little things like the happy hours that you don't go to a birthday party because you're not home for that. All those little things, they take a toll. So
I have so many questions, Chris.
Yeah, please.
How far in advance do you have a schedule? Do you have a schedule? What, do you know what your November looks like right now? Do you know what your February looks like right now?
So I got it's, because they're all one-offs, right? So it's all individual. Yeah. So I got an email today about a show in March for next year. Oh, so that will be the Friday of the end of March. Are you free that night? Can you do that? Will you do it for this amount? Whatever, blah, blah, blah.
So most comedy clubs also are booked at, they're trying to put their schedules
So I don't do a lot of clubs because the comedy clubs pay so little. So I do more of individual shows for a company or an organization, or they're doing a fundraiser.
Oh, like corporate events.
Yeah, corporate. We call them corporate. I don't want to say it. So, but yes, that's what I do most of because I can do an hour or so clean, and there's not a lot of us that can do that. Clean and funny. Supposedly, I don't want to say
You are funny and you are clean and you're smart and funny and people can book you and know that you're not going to offend.
Yeah, let's put the booking at the bottom here. Let's get a phone number and an email.
We should. And by the way, you're doing all of this while you also are a teacher. And I loathe saying this all the time, but you're a doctor. You're Dr. Voth. You have a PhD.
Oh.
You're a teacher.
I didn't even
And
remember.
I know you.
I think
that's hard. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I think that I want to stick on this for a second when you say clean, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a skill that both you and Melissa have that is exceptional and such a testament to your funny, to your comedy, that you don't it's so easy to go blue. It's so easy to get like nasty and dirty and like cheap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the way that you can reach the masses with your funny is very rare, especially today, where like either vulgar or just like, how do I get a rise out of someone is often the channel that people will use in their comedy, which I love. But to be able to do both of those things, which I think most of those comedians cannot do, they cannot talk to a room of like moms, or like cancer survivors or billionaires and reach every single one of them without, putting someone down. Like, I think that's what watching Melissa do that is so special whenever she does her charity work, and watching you do it while also being able to write to someone who typically does do blue jokes. Like, just your versatility is very impressive to me.
Oh,
well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. I mean, I've dabbled in stand-up and been lucky enough to do it. And also, like, when you're hosting or emceeing stuff and like you end up doing material and that, I think it's about reading the room. And Chris's stand-up, who is that person that does it every weekend and is a true stand-up. But I think there's something about, I never want anyone to leave something that I've been a part of and feel like that I made the joke, I should be the biggest joke in the room, like self-deprecation, or like, I don't want anyone to walk away feeling like, oh, I didn't feel great about that, or I made fun of somebody or something. It should be like, everyone should be in on the joke. Nobody should be the joke in that room. And I think it's about reading the room. And I like to think that I'm pretty good about it, whether I'm hosting a charity event and they want me to be funny or doing a little stand-up in those mediums, is read the room and know that whether the cause is serious, you can still have fun. And fun is, by the way, I think when you're fun and make it fun, you get people to give you more money for things, which I very much like to give people. I love getting people to give money to charity, but it's like reading the room and also knowing what the line is. I love like just tiptoeing up to the line and maybe like dink and then right back, because again, I want everyone to leave feeling like they had a good time. But Chris, I mean, your stand-up is like you throw stuff away. I almost went blue there. I almost said you throw shit away. Like, your jokes are so fast and you just do them, and you have to be listening to catch them. And I love that kind of comedy too. Where it's like, you're
so fucking clean, and that's what I love. And
okay.
Well, when I learned what you just said was in 6th grade. That's when I first started going, because I would think of a joke real fast, and I would just, it would be about someone, but it was a joke. It didn't need to be about them at all. It just was a joke I needed to say. And then I figured out, that person feels bad and they don't laugh like everybody else laughs. So if I just made it about myself, that was much easier. It didn't even matter because it wasn't a true thing. It was just a joke I needed to make. You know? So that's when I started even practicing it early on, and have that idea that I'm going to make the joke, and I make it about myself. And I do that a lot, even on shows where I will be making fun of maybe the scenario, but I also clarify, I'm not making fun of the club, and I'm thankful that you all came here to see the show. I'm just making fun of the fact that I've been doing this long and there's 17 people here. So it's not about you at all. I'm happy that you're here. I'm just making a joke that I should be better and should be more popular, as you all have probably noticed. Those kind of things where I'm making sure and clarifying, because some people just go up and they just rip on like the place and look at this background and, all that stuff. And those things can be funny, but also it's like the owner and the people that booked you, like, what is this guy doing? We get a chance
You're
to
in
get
my
on
house.
Stage,
yeah.
And then they're making fun of the people that, and people get really nervous about being sitting in the front and all that. And that's the other thing is I want them to have a great time. Exactly what you said. You want them to leave and say, that was a really fun show. And I didn't feel like people made fun of me the whole time.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want that.
How do you feel about is your set, do you enjoy interacting with the audience?
Oh, do you do any
like
crowd work?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what it's
so
called. Crowd work.
let me just kind of give you over without being too boring about it. So I like it. I love doing it. I don't do it in my act because I love the art of joke writing more than any of that. So I really want to hear like a really well-written joke. That's what I love. Now, someone who does that and then also does a few crowd work things, that's okay. But what happened a few years ago was the amount of content you need to put online. You don't want to put all your good jokes online. So when people come to see you, they're like, yeah, I've seen all these before. Because that's the thing we don't have where musicians have. Like, oh, you want to hear your favorite song. They don't want to hear this joke they've heard a bunch of times on TikTok or whatever. They want to hear new stuff. Well, if you burn all your material online and then they come see you, what ends up happening is they're like, yeah, I've seen that. And then they'll come after and go, I thought there'd be a lot of new stuff. And it takes a long time to write jokes, right? So what happened was comedians started putting the crowd work. They do an hour set in 5 or 10 minutes. They interact with the crowd. They may get one funny joke out of it. They put that online. And then what happened was we curated an audience that came to the show thinking that's all they're going to do is crowd work. And once you start doing the crowd dabbling, it's really hard, unless you're skilled, to get back to jokes that you wrote. People are like, nah, they just don't, it doesn't click the same. There's something in the mind of humans that they can detect when something has been off the cuff and you did it in the moment. And they can determine pretty quickly that when it's not. And you get, with the exact same words, you get a way bigger laugh if they know you did it off the cuff than if it was a joke that you wrote beforehand. Yeah. So it's this thing that kind of we got into, and I say we as in the comedy community. So I'm not mad at anybody, and I'm not telling people they're not doing it correctly. We got stuck in this thing where you had to put so much content online that like you can't put your whole act there. Then you have nothing to show people when they come see you, or they go, why are we going to pay to see you? We can watch the whole thing online for free. So that's the other. So we kind of got in a bind there. So anyway, I like that. And I do that, obviously do that in class and stuff with my students, but I really love the art of joke writing, which is what I started doing. The moment I could write words in elementary school, I was writing jokes. So
what was your first joke?
It's not going to hold up really well.
But I want to hear it.
It was, what do you get when you cross two cats? Oh,
sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. What cats? 2 cats and a.
Wow, you are so allergic that even if I say the word cat,
I'm allergic to cats.
So what the timing of that? That is incredible. What do you get when you cross 2 different breeds of cats? A meow mix.
That's great.
Yeah, that's I wrote that in like 1st grade and I submitted it. And here's what's interesting is well, it's not interesting, but here's what I found out. I wondered why I did that formula. Like that's a very specific way of writing. And I pulled up the Boy's Life from when I was in 2nd grade and I looked at the jokes and they're all those kind of formulas. So I had just went, okay, I got to write something where it's da-da. What do you get when you cross this and this? And that's, so I wrote a joke in that formula, which is what I've done many times. If there is a joke from like a comedian I love, I will try to write a joke in that formula in a way that just to kind of the same pattern, just to practice to see if I could do it. And I'll do this one, I'll probably cut out, but Gary Shandling, it was my very favorite stand-up.
The greatest.
Let me tell you the pattern of it, what it was. So it was a very famous joke he did, which was, he said, I was dating Miss Georgia, actually former Miss Georgia. Actually, it was George Foreman. So that's like
Gary Shandling. Okay, for the folks at home.
No, they all know. They all know. You're the only one.
One of the most brilliant. The Larry Sanders Show is still. I can watch. Peter, if you don't start watching it tonight, I'm so angry.
Is that the one where he's like
so here's the joke I wrote with the formula before we get too far away from it, because you're going to forget the formula, which is, so my girlfriend's vegan. Well, she's vegetarian. Actually, she just has cauliflower ear. But so that's the same. I was trying to write in the same formula to figure out if
because Gary Coleman also. No.
Gary Coleman.
Is that what it is?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to just put that as the clip, and I'm not going to put anything else. Different strokes for
Gary
different
Coleman,
folks.
beloved actor.
Oh, what's
from
the? But he was
Different
on the
Strokes, and
show.
Gary
He was for
Shandling
Different
are not
Strokes.
the same person.
But the Foreman grill is the thing, the part of the joke that you were referring to earlier, right? The George Foreman. George Foreman was a boxer. He probably had cauliflower ear. So it all comes back.
You said Gary Coleman, who was on Different. That's the little guy from Different Strokes. Which
Well,
is not
that's another part of the onion. If you just would keep on peeling it back, you'd understand. But I can't explain it to you if you don't get it immediately. No.
Okay.
Anyway, any other good jokes?
You guys are going to have a talk after this.
I'm upset
sweating.
about it.
You guys are making me sweat.
That show, by the way, is the Larry Sanders Show. It was pre-Office. It was when it was like the Office meets. I mean, it was the backstage of a late night talk show of Carson, of Letterman, and oh my God,
Sanders.
and it's so Janine Garofalo's on it. Jeffrey Tambor. So many. It's so brilliantly funny. What did you just look up?
Yeah, Larry Sanders. Exactly. That's who it is.
Exactly.
Larry Sanders played.
I don't recognize him.
The Atlanta Hawks.
But Gary Shandling, that was such. I got to meet him one time, and I was so awful because I was so speechless, and it was him and Jerry Seinfeld at the same time, and I was so overcome, and Chris and I bonded over our love of the Larry Sanders Show. I think. I mean, it was one of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's one of the best shows on TV. It really is. It was so.
I can't wait to start it tonight.
Oh,
I'm really excited. Thanks for teaching me.
Now, if you go back and watch It's Gary Shandling Show, that was my favorite show in the 90s, or in the 80s, sorry.
I can't wait to just get that under my belt. Now, question for you.
Yeah.
Like what you just said, Melissa, I thought was interesting, where this is a comedian that you all could agree upon that this is like my kind of humor. I enjoy this. That's really, specific. Humor is specific. Do you find that your comedy lends itself to, is it regional? When you're traveling, do you find that you have more success in certain regions of the country, or do you think that it's universal?
Are you talking
do you think good comedy is either of you? Do you think your comedy is good comedy is universal, or that?
Chris
Go for it.
Because he actually tours and does more of that nowadays than I have. I haven't done for a long time. I will say this to anyone out there: funny is funny. If it was, I can watch a sketch from Saturday Night Live or Carol Burnett Show or SCTV, or I can watch Louis Anderson's Live at the Guthrie stand-up special today, and it will hold up. If something is funny, really funny, it will stand the test of time. I mean, sometimes things might feel dated or the references are there, but funny is funny. And it's something I think that usually people can agree on. Even if you have to translate it into another language, it should still be funny. You should understand, oh, that is funny because mothers do that. Or, and again, things evolve and things can change. I'm not saying that, but I truly think that if something is just funny because it's funny, it's funny everywhere. It's funny to everyone. I mean, that's maybe a generalized and a Pollyanna way to look at it, but I'm like, there are things that were so simple and stupid, but they were just funny. From how many years? Like, I can watch a Carol Burnett sketch. The Gone with the Wind sketch is still funny.
But without naming
names,
there are comedians that just you're like, I don't get it, and yet, they may be selling out Madison Square Garden. They may be, hosting SNL, and you're like, who is that?
So I would say I don't totally agree that funny is. I think that there are things that are funny, and if they're funny to you, they're probably always funny. I do think that if you're more of a broad comedian that can get, if you're trying to go more centered, you can get to that. I have done a show in, I think, every state except Alaska. So I have gotten laughs in all those states. So you do get a sense of how that, and I not had to figure out, but I cobbled it down to like, okay, these jokes I know work everywhere. And that takes a while to figure that out. There are some jokes that are obviously more regional. So those things, some of those regional things don't travel. I think that it's getting harder and harder to have someone who appeals to everyone, because just like everything else, everything's been siloed off. It's going to be very rare in the next 10 years for the whole family to agree that here's one person that we all think is funny, because everyone sees their comedian or the comics individually on their own feeds and their algorithms. So there are oftentimes you will see someone that will sell out a big arena and you'll go, I've never even heard of this person. And that's partly because they have their own audience. They just need 25 to 30,000 people in that city that know them. The rest of them don't need to know them at all. And it used to be, there were, a handful of comedians that everyone knew, and you could go like Brian Regan or, Jim Gaffigan, some of those of that era. And
I love
Bill Cosby before. Cosby has his obviously issues, but he was one of those that he could have traveled anywhere and there was going to be an audience for that. But there's not a lot of those kinds of comedians around anymore because everyone's got their own version of that's who I see, and that's who I see on my algorithm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it is rare that you're right. It's probably a long time before like families. I think about Riley, who is 19 and, gets things in short things. I don't think he would. I feel like I did a kind of a good job of exposing him to like things that I loved as far as SNL and Carol Burnett and that, but he probably knows about somebody who's hilarious to his tribe of people that I would never have heard of. But I like to think that if the joke's good enough, I would kind of get it. Like there are some things that as humans, we all sort of agree on,
Individual jokes. I just think that it's just
that exposure is different.
It's siloed out now because I teach high school as well. I get to see my students every day and I will talk to them about who they like or and they will tell me their favorite comedian, and I usually know who it is, or maybe I know them personally. But if you ask them if they've watched any of their specials, they go, no, I just see the clips. So they've never even watched, they don't see full they just see them in 30-second, 1 minute, 1.5 minute segments. So they don't watch the whole thing. So they will say their favorite comedian and they've never watched a show they've ever done. They've only seen their clips.
Oh, that makes me sad.
That's also what's the next generation of what's happening. So to say that there are ones that show up in your algorithm will not show up in mine. And, that's just how it kind of filters out.
Do you think that there's a generational shift in humor? Like, do you think that like surrealist humor is more popular now with like Gen X, or do you think it's still kind of whatever I'm seeing they're enjoying? We still kind of all like the same thing.
I think we're still stuck in this model of observation about something that's going on in the world, even at like a small level, and then you build it out to something bigger. Like you say, I was at the store today and I saw this. And, why is it that every time you see one of those, you see, so it's
right.
An initial, a small observation, build it out. This is how society is. Isn't it strange how we all act this way? And that sort of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 over and over and over is sort of the way most people are telling jokes. Not all of them, but that's.
Is there anything?
So that style of writing is what's happening right now. There are shows, like Tim and Eric and some of those shows that were real absurdist. Obviously, Jackass has some of that just random that you wouldn't say, is that a comedy? It's a comedy, but it's not like they're not doing jokes per se. They're just doing things. So there are some of those that always maintain. But in terms of the main core of what I'm seeing, it's still the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Cola Scola.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. And Cola Scola, yeah.
I discovered them on like sketch stuff and at Home with Amy Sedaris, but I like that absurdist thing.
But that's not
stand-up. I know that's not a stand-up, but
that's true.
I also love John Mulaney. I think is really funny and smart. I mean, I really like him.
Yeah. So John Mulaney, but
did I say Mulroney? It's Mulaney.
Mulaney.
It's okay, Melinda. I think it's what's happening with that is that he's his traditional stand-up comic. I mean, he obviously started with
he's
SNL
very Steve Martin to me in that vein. No, you don't think so?
No, because he's still telling stories about his life. Steve Martin did not talk about his life at all. He was just saying the most random things. He was sort of an anti-stand-up comic.
Well, Mike Birbiglia, I think is also a storyteller guy that I think is so smart and genius. And Peter, you would love listening to his. He's a great storyteller, so you can do that. You can listen to him on on your walks. Like he's one that's he's such a funny, great storyteller in the vein of David Sedaris to me, which I love.
You can listen to him on your walks.
On your
during
well,
your when you're looking at birds, you can have it on the background on your little walks.
I may have to go turn on my breaker because my refrigerator is dead. So I'm worried about my food going bad. But
no,
are we off topic?
Maybe we should.
We're trying to understand what the life of a stand-up with Chris.
I would say the hard part is trying to get booked and to get paid. So writing material is the hardest, but getting booked and getting paid, particularly now with just the amount of comedians there's just so many of them. Every night you go down for like new talent night and stuff, whatever city you're in, whatever club you're at, there's just hundreds and hundreds of them. And because it doesn't take anything, you don't, like I said, you don't have to take a class, you don't have to get a license or anything. You just show up and say, I'm a comedian. And they'll give you probably 30 seconds to 2 minutes to go up, and they'll see, well, how do you do? And even if you're an experienced comedian, you still got to try material on stage to see, I think it's funny. I have a pretty good ear for what that works for me, but you still got to do it in front of an audience.
And sometimes, that's the wonderful and bad thing about it is that you can have a night where you kill it and you just every joke lands, you kill it, and the next night it doesn't. And that's what you have to push through.
I don't know about that, but I've heard
people you kill it every night. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Dr. Voth.
Yeah. I mean, that was actually what I learned. That was a lesson I learned when I was working on the Jungle Cruise at Disneyland. Was I got 15 to 20 trips around the jungle every day, and I'm telling the exact same jokes all day long. And a different group would come on, and some would laugh and cheer, some would be silent, and I was doing the same. And I started to play with inflection and how I did the cadence and all that. But I got to see, this is, even if you do it the same way, it doesn't mean they're all going to laugh. It's always, that's part of it.
So basically, stand-up should get a job on the Jungle Cruise to have that 20 trips around the lagoon to practice.
Every day. Think about doing 20 to 25, 15-minute sets all day long, every day.
That's the beauty of a play. That's the beauty of a play or doing anything is that you have how many nights to go, this night it felt different and this night it didn't, which I think every performer, whether you want to do stand-up or be an actor, and whether you want to act in movies where there's no audience or you want to be in front of an audience, there's nothing like doing something where you do the same thing every night in front of different people and get to understand when moments breathe for this amount of time, or they just don't and you move on, or to milk that laugh, or to feel that moment, or to take that time. To me, that is invaluable, whether you never work in front of an audience again. Just knowing that or feeling that is such a great skill. And I think that stand-ups get to do that. People that do Broadway, that do theater and tour, that you're doing the same stuff every night and getting to feel every night's a different show because you have a different audience and things are going to be different. And I think I think that every performer should have some sort of experience in that. It will help you.
So what I was wondering is, you were saying that sometimes you will be opening up for someone where you'll have the 30 minutes and then they'll have 45 to an hour. But in the showcase structuring, you'll all have, there's a ton of you, right? So you're all somewhere. So imagine that you're in a green room. So what's that like? Are you just eyeing each other up and down saying, I dare you to be funny?
Well, so the first part is, if you're a comic, you're probably of like-minded already. So this is one of the great things about what happened for me and what happened for a lot of comics. I always felt like this weird outsider. And then when I started doing stand-up, I found out, here's all of the same weird outsiders, kind of the same kind of people. So you have similar personalities. It does not mean we all get along perfectly, but that means to at least have similarities. For a night when there are 3 comedians and there's a defined headliner, the green room is the headliner's room no matter what. So the headliner can decide, are we going to talk? Are we just going to sit in silence? Are we going to have the TV on? No TV on? Are we going to not be allowed to be in there? Are you going to smoke, not smoke? It's the headliner's call from the beginning to the end. And if someone starts chatting a little bit and they don't really want to chat, they'll either tell you or someone will come in and go, hey, will you just step out? He doesn't want you in here. Sometimes the headliners have locked the door so you can't even get in. So I've worked with one of those guys. There was an opener once who went in and took a dump in the bathroom and smelled up the green room. And that guy never worked with that headliner ever again. And so they made sure whenever he came to town, it was like the last time that guy ever worked with him. But so first of all, you're deferring to the headliner. They are going to set the tone for everything. And if you know them already, I kind of know a lot of them already. So, but I just kind of sit and just allow them to dictate what's going to happen. I gave up going to my 10-year class reunion night one to work with a specific comedian that I'd always wanted to work with. And he didn't say a word to me the entire night. And we did 2 shows. We sat for an hour and a half between shows, and it was dead silence. Not a word.
What did he do? Was he reading? What was he doing?
No, just sitting
or
there.
she?
He's just sitting there.
Just staring at you in silence?
He was looking at a book for a little while, and then this was before like phones were like a big thing. I mean, they had a phone, but not it wasn't like you were looking at it. He looked at some stuff. He wrote some notes, and then so I left for a while because it was just so uncomfortable to sit there that quiet.
But but by the way, maybe that's his pre-show mode that he has to. Maybe it wasn't like a lot of times it's not personal.
Yeah, I don't like people chit-chatting with me before I have to perform. I like to get focused.
But so it's totally fine. But usually the way that would go is hey, I'm not being rude. I just need to kind of get my head. So I love that you're on the show. Glad you're here. I'm just not going to talk if that's okay.
Right.
But you would give some sort of like, hey, these are normal. We're in a small room together. You can
and we're here together. Yes.
But I knew enough not to ask, so I just didn't ask questions. And I know there's another famous comedian, I won't name drop all these, but who someone else's wife came in there with him, which is you kind of go, all right, like it's an opener's wife was there, and she would not stop talking. And that guy also never worked with that headliner and never worked with anybody at that club again. He actually basically was gone because he could not keep his wife from, she would not stop talking in the green room. She just kept talking. And all of a sudden you'd see the comedian just come out, and then she'd be in there by herself. And we go, hey, it's your job to tell her that she needs to defer to the headliner and not keep talking. She just couldn't stop talking. So that guy doesn't work anymore. He's not a comedian anymore, at least that I'm aware of. But
wow. I hope he's listening now.
Well, he's not going to be listening.
The first time that,
but
it was his wife all along.
He would know. By the way, he was aware. He was aware. So anyway, It's all dictated by that. So there's that part. Generally, if we're all cool, we make some jokes. We dig on each other a little bit. We talk.
What's it like? Is it like you're wearing that?
No, it's mostly no. Everyone's cordial, and we're all trying to do the same things. We will talk about things specifically. The guy I used to open for a lot, when I would come off stage, we would have 30 seconds that I would say, hey, there's someone with a weird laugh 2 rows back on the right. Don't let that throw you. There's also a guy in the far left that's talking too much. I've already said something to somebody that we're going to make sure he doesn't. But I want to get, or I'll say there's a weird echo coming from the side, but it doesn't sound that way from the audience. So just don't worry about it. Like I would give them all like the heads up. So when you go on stage, you would know that, or the guy in front, whoever he's with or the lady or whatever, they've had a lot to drink and they're fading. You can see them fading.
Why you gotta keep blaming all the ladies for being too loud and talking too much? Maybe they're having fun. And by the way, I did not have too much to drink that night. I just had a lot to say.
Wait, I have 2 quick questions.
Yeah.
One, how much, and then I know we got to wrap this up. How much effort and time do you put into what you are wearing? A, and B, props? ?
Okay, so the first one, I will say I do I put way more thought than most comedians these days, and that's a very frustrating thing to me. If you read Steve Martin's book, Born Standing Up, he talks about why he wore a white suit, because he wanted to be seen, but also he wanted to be more dressed up than the audience, because people work all week. That. They paid to come to the show. I'm going to be the best dressed in the room. And so there are other people, John Mulaney, is that how you say it? Mulaney. He wears a suit. So some of them,
I like it.
I would say one thing that you would need to do though is to say, this is what I look like when I'm on stage. This is kind of my uniform. So you don't see people, they don't have to be in a suit every time, but they should be in a sort of look that makes sense, or at least says, this is what looks intentional.
It's what they decided their show look is, which is a good thing to have.
I see less and less of that, especially the new comics. Dirty shirts, wrinkled shirts, jeans, and whatever. And you just go, I know you want to make it look like you're so casual, but people paid to see you. People got a babysitter. They took the night out. They got parking, all those things. You say, at least make it look like you made an effort to be there as well. That's what and I know that's very old school. So I
Well,
try
we're
to have
old
a certain.
people. We are old people.
I love it.
The schools that we went to are very old.
And then
Sequins.
as far as
Neil Diamond sequins for me. That's what I want.
That could be fun. And then also, it also does matter about how much they paid. Like when I do corporate shows, that's always going to be a sport jacket for sure, at least that, because I'm the one to look like you're going to pay me the amount I think you should pay me. I'm going to look like I deserve that amount. And I know that's very superficial, but I still think that matters. As far as props, I don't, that's if that's what works for jokes. And I know those made fun of, but if you go see Carrot Top in Vegas, it's amazing. It's a great show. He's so funny. And I know that people made fun of that for a long time. It became like the thing to do. But I mean, I grew up because of my family. We didn't really know about a lot of stuff. We loved Gallagher when he was, in those early, when you get those VHS tapes in the 80s. My family used to watch that all the time. So I didn't have a problem with any of that. It's a lot of work, and it means it's going to be wordplay and puns, and that's not really a style that people are doing right now. But there are versions of that. I mean, Dimitri Martin doesn't do a lot. You don't see him a lot, but he had, I wouldn't say props, but he had things that he had on stage with him, and he's brilliant. So I loved all that. I always say Kevin Nealon that used to do this thing, this drawing thing that I loved so much, and I always ask him about it each time, and he just said, yeah, but you got to bring the whole thing, and you got to have stuff, and then once also people have seen it enough times, you kind of it's hard to get away with some things that are, I've seen that joke already a bunch of times. So if that's what you're doing, I think maybe we're ripe for a new prop comic to come around, because we haven't had one in a while.
It's a lot of work, and it's
each generation.
And they have to be really smart. To me, it's like when people sort of did like poo-poo it, or maybe think it was a lesser than like sort of form of stand-up. I'm like, no, that is to me harder. I think it's harder to have to do that. I mean, the amount of work.
You bring in more variables.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, and one more person I would mention, Heath Heisch, who's a newer. I mean, he's been around for a little while, but he does a lot of cruise ships and stuff. I want to mention him because he's really funny, and he has lots of things that he builds and all that stuff. So
cool. I'm going to look him up too. Heath Heisch.
Yeah.
You've got a whole list of homework to do, Peter. So
yeah, you got a lot of stuff. There's no way you're going to get your lines. There's no way. All right. We've talked a lot. You guys have to go. You've got stuff to do. Don't you guys?
I got to go work on
you look so beautiful tonight. You look so pretty.
Thank you.
Isn't she? Tell her.
Yes.
Look at her.
Tell me.
So pretty. That's such a...
You look really pretty. Are you scratching your leg or petting?
I'm scratching
Elvis?
my leg. That's what I was doing. Did you see me scratching? I'm scratching my leg. I'm trying really hard not to scratch.
There's the same arm movement. So I'm hoping it's not.
It's my leg.
It'll be.
And that's another story to be told.
Yeah. And I know what you're doing, Peter. That's not scratching. That's not what we call that.
Don't. I just was scratching my leg.
Melissa and Peterman, Melissa and